Bob go in here? Yeah. Are we ready?
We're going.
Ready, good. Okay, Bob.
You was no money last year.
What's that?
You were no money last year.
I know, and, I guess you wanna just go through the, line items?
Yeah,
Okay.
for Brian, for Brian to get
Okay.
his wheels wet.
So the first one is, for department head salary, that's, my salary up front. The COVID cost, that's a new line item that, I think this, Becky puts in for what's going on this year. Salaries of regular employees, those are, just step increases, and any longevities. So with that, same thing with the other employees, that's the bulk of them. That would be all the union employees, all the dispatchers themselves. Office manager, that's our, new Mary Ann Veronica, that's her salary. Overtime, that's just our overtime wages at 100 or 110. Remain the same as it was, last year. General office supplies, similar.
Let's go back to
Yes,
overtime.
okay.
How can we get that down?
So this year it is down. It's at 27,000. A lot of it is based on, for some of the year, we had one of our shifts fully staffed. So that really, impacted on how much overtime we had to pay for. And then, what we've also noticed is just people weren't taking vacations because COVID and there was nothing's open to leave. So a lot of people weren't taking time off, creating overtime spots. So that's how our number's been so low so far this year.
So you think it'll be about average, do you think it'll double by the end of the fiscal year?
So with this going until July, we got all of spring, people got time banked up. I don't know how to predict that. With people wanting to take time off, that they've been saving time for as things open up, how that will happen. So I didn't touch it, I didn't I didn't reestimate it, and I didn't move the number this year, just left it the same.
Now, can you look at one more person? I mean,
Do what?
Can you look at another employee?
As of right now, we have 3 spots that are not filled, and we have 2 people. Matter of fact, I just got the background on one of them done. We're looking to get 2 of them hired up here and start training probably in the next. I gotta just contact them. They actually did their psych evaluations last week. So once I get that word, probably here in the next, they gotta give 2 weeks notice. So probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I got 2 employees, 2 out of the 3 scheduled to start the training program.
So then we could get our overtime down.
Yes, that's what we're hoping. That was the whole huge contributor to our overtime is our staffing level. So once.
That's what I was gonna say for Bob, is that staffing levels are everything. If you go back and look at 18 and 19, and look at the overtime budgeted amount for that, when his staffing was horrible, I mean, he has really improved that number, but it's all about staffing.
Yeah.
Keeping those operators in the chairs, so.
Yep.
So when you're fully
That's
staffed, I
on your board.
Yeah.
mean, basically, if you're fully staffed, you expect that number to stay lower.
Yes. Yep. When we're fully staffed, with the plan per shift is 9 operators working. We have to have a minimum of 4. So 9 operators per shift, 2 are on days off. That leaves 7 people working. With that, somebody could be off on vacation, big time off, still leaving 6. Somebody could be out on an FMLA or event, a long-term event, still leaving them 5 people working. So even that day, somebody can call in sick and still leave us at the 4 before we even have to go into an overtime situation.
What's your total number of employees right now?
27 dispatchers and 6 administrative staff.
6 administrative staff,
Yes.
33%.
Okay. Hey, Bob, staffing's always been an issue. Did you take a look at, the application process and screening people, and did you make any changes to that?
We've made considerable changes towards that. We worked very closely with HR to where the audience we're trying to target. We went on to just basically all the websites, getting away from actually printing paper. We're now onto Indeed, the job sites, and that's really contributed tremendously. we revamped the wording that we used to kind of made it more, showing the more incentives. So we did get a lot more applicants this last go around than we have in the past. And that's also showing the numbers as far as the people when they come in, the actual people coming to test. That number's, normally we lose about, I'll say 25% through each step. And we've noticed that the numbers going into testing's been a little bit better, and the passing number was a little better as well. So we actually had to go into, before we went into a testing phase, we went into a venting with me, HR, and the chief deputy at the time to actually get that number down to a more of a consistent number. But
Okay,
the one thing, sorry.
do you ever take that posting down?
Yeah, it's not posted right now. And we work off an eligibility list from there for the rest of the year.
Okay.
So the two I have, I had a third, but she fell out during the background investigation, so we are going to go to our eligibility list. And to speed up that process, what we've done is everybody on that list has already gone through the process of first interviews, testing, second interview. At this point, we would literally pull the next candidate up, give them a letter of intent, and put them through the rest of the background screening. So that's one thing that's helped out tremendously on timing. And then also, we're doing things and not waiting for one step to be done to start the other. We're doing things in conjunction, parallel with each other. Once the background investigation starts, we'll give that investigator about a 2-3 weeks head start. By then, he or she would know kind of to fill this person, this applicant. And if they give the thumbs up, we'll go ahead and start the drug screening, the physical, the occ health stuff. Then we'll wait another week or two, and then we'll do physicals, the psych test. And that's usually showing, coming out that, as of right now, both of them are completing up around the same time. Where in the past, we would wait for the background test to be done, background investigation to be done. And then we would schedule the occ health, physical stuff, and then we would schedule the psych. So we've taken probably about at least a month and a half off of that timing as well.
Okay.
Are we still, sorry,
No, go ahead.
we're no longer like the Douglas County, Sarpy County training program anymore, right?
I haven't lost an employee to either one of them for several years. Matter of fact, the only employee I've ever lost to one of them was the lady that went to Sarpy County. And I think the main reason was she lived in Plattsmouth and was more just closer to home. But
But our wages are reflective of what they're making over there.
yeah, Douglas, they have steps as far as what they'll hire you as a call taker, train you, and then you'll train into being a dispatcher, and then you're a fire dispatcher, the EMD portion of it. So there's steps that go with that, as some people may not just ever want to work past a call taker status. So depending on where you look, but at the end, they usually make, I think they're about $2 more at the end game. But our starting wage, I think, is fairly similar. Matter of fact, I think last we checked, I think we might even be a few cents higher, 10 cents higher than them. The one thing that that we notice when we are competing with these other counties is when I say the hourly range might be different, but our overall package is better. So Sarpy County might pay more towards the employees' portion to insurance. So we really put that in part of our ad to really show that, okay, if you're just looking at the hourly wage, that's one thing, but here's your package. Yep.
Okay.
So there's 33 people when you're fully staffed. How many of the admins can work as operators?
So,
There's six admins, right?
yes.
How many of them can work as operators?
Four of those that came up through the floor. So from me to Christine to Veronica to Angie, we've all worked the floor at some point.
Okay, and then, how many of the 33 are hourly employees?
All of it except for me. I'm the only one that's salary.
Okay, so you're the only salary employee.
Yes, there has been discussions with HR possibly extending that to some other
I
administrative
think we're gonna
staff.
talk about that in closed session.
Okay.
Okay.
And then one other thing, do you have anybody that you know of, that potentially in this next budget year will be potentially retiring?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Before we go on to page 2, that salary that salary line item on the first one on the expense side, is that you?
The very first line item?
Yeah.
Yes.
Last year you budgeted 99,374. This year you're budgeting 98,742. Are we demoting you?
No, I think it's
a pay
just
period.
how the pay periods work for the hourly,
Pay period thing.
yeah.
I don't know, depends how you do that.
Yeah, it just depends on. So, did you guys want to go to page 2? Is that what?
You're reading it.
Okay,
Well, just real quick, do you receive the revenue from the towers? Does that come to the board budget?
the revenues from the tower.
Yeah, isn't there
They
some
rent, they rent
Carson
space on the
Tower,
tower.
Loveland
No,
Tower.
we rent the space on their tower, so we pay them. There's
Oh.
only,
Don't we own some?
we have looked at, there is Carson Tower site that, we have been approached just this year. It hasn't been finalized. Verizon's looking to rent space off of that. I think, at this point, that was something the, previous chief deputy was working on. They were doing some studies. We gave them the information we had. I don't know where that currently is, but I know they're very interested in renting space at our Carson site on Highway 59.
That's the only tenant that we have is the one that is being proposed?
Yes.
Oh, really? I thought we had some other ones. Okay.
We rent off of, a tower site up by Loveland.
Right. But I thought we own some towers too.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I thought there was some other ones that were being potentially rented, so,
Far as that I'm aware, this is the first time anybody's ever approached, at least with my knowledge,
Okay.
we've ever been approached.
Jeff, are you up on that?
Well, I'm not on the Verizon, but I was here obviously in the basement when we did this, when John Reynolds wrote it.
Sure.
And so those tower sites were all cited by Motorola, and they're not very specific to other companies coming on them. So I'll get with Rob and talk to him about the Verizon. I gotta get smart about that. I don't know about it.
Yeah, cause we approved a preliminary agreement, didn't we?
No.
We did?
When we spoke with Jeff about that, he was gonna go back and get with Rob, and Rob was gonna give me a call. I think there were a couple of issues that we looked at, maybe an increase in the rent from $750 maybe to $1,000. And, I think
Oh, yeah, there was some.
the graduator was like,
2%.
2%, and I think the market is 3 to 5. So I think we were on the short end of that, and I just haven't heard anything back.
No, I owe you an answer back on that. I'll find out.
It's okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, page 2, everybody?
Okay, so page 2, is just, the last couple of tower sites, that we, going back to, page 1, every single one of our tower sites is itemized down, and it just shows the expense with that. Those expenses are mainly any monthly electrical bills and any associated lease, monthly lease, and that's, for each one of our tower sites. Then we just get into FICA, the other, equipment and radio. That's our contracts we have with Motorola for the software and, service, and then our agreement with, Douglas County for our portion of the master site. That is down this year. Last year, I don't know if you guys recall, we had to do a wide area network WAN, upgrade. And so that's came off this year, so we don't have to pay for that. So,
Bob, if you look at your bottom line, you can
Okay.
go back to the 18-19 budget, and then your activity, and if you look at, and specifically the budget for 19-20, you spent about $100,000 less than you budgeted.
Yeah.
Then you take a look at the 2021, you move that up 200,000, and you didn't even spend what we had last time. This year, if you're looking at half, your total activity is about 1.2 million. If that tracks the same way, we're looking at 2.4, why do we need 2.6?
It's wages. I'm hiring two people. So what the wages that cost come with that for the next 6 months, 90% of this budget is nothing but wages. It's just, I'm down employees. When I'm fully staffed, that number obviously changes to the salaries of that.
Okay.
Are you figuring in overtime, kind of keeping that down a little?
Yeah, that's,
With this number?
yeah.
Okay, I can see that. About
His overtime budget didn't change, Brian.
100,000, but
It was 110 last year, it's 110 this year.
Yeah,
okay.
we did, I don't know if it shows up on this. At one point, it was 125. We lowered it to this one, I think it's 110 now.
18, 19.
So we have been trying to keep it with its trends. Yeah, it would have been just the year before, 18, 19, it was at 125. But it's been trending down, and then, you know, the 1 year was up higher. This year is lower, obviously, you know, COVID, we're not paying for training, or people go on trainings, and then people just ain't taking the trips like they used to, taking time off.
We might be able to find a penny in here just.
Yep.
That, just, I think, for Brian's sake, and I guess maybe for the rest of us. So, your budget goes in and is showed with the EMA budget?
So my understanding how it's done is I present my budget to you guys. You guys approve the budget. You guys I amend everything with you guys. Where you guys get the money to pay the bills is solely up to you, but from my understanding, it's an EMA levy fund that I'm sure, Chief Deputy can speak on a lot better than I can, that, that can be used for emergency services. And then so this budget ends up being a line item on the EMA levy budget, is my understanding.
So it's that supplemental emergency management fund, yeah. And we talked about that years ago when I was downstairs.
Right.
It's a more fair way, if you will, of paying for 911 across the county instead of having a rural levy or a urban levy. And Andy's gonna take this budget to the Emergency Management Commission Thursday night and brief them. We've never really done that before, but we think we owe them that. And I've looked at the 28E agreement. It's actually required in that agreement. So we're gonna go over there Thursday night and brief them up on it.
Well, and he would be part of the EMA.
Right, right.
Personnel too.
With Bob?
Andy,
Oh.
Andy's on the commission.
So, it's kind of convoluted. We had talked offline, not with you, about workman's comp. You know, and where that workman's comp should really be coming from out of the budget. You know, ultimately, it's the taxpayers' dollars. So his budget is totally separate from you and his personnel. So that workman's comp cost, and I don't know if we have that for you. Jana, that's something we probably should just get to have. And see what, his is probably pretty low, I'm guessing.
As far as like, claims,
Yeah, workman's comp, the deal.
the mod rate, which
Yeah.
we should be getting that this week.
Okay. Cause it's kind of a hybrid,
Right.
you know?
It's a weird way we budget just for him, yeah.
Well, that got dealt basically through the legislation, right? The legislators?
It was a tool we were able to use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when it happened, and I think you were on the board back then, the
Well, I
reason,
think it was right before, to be honest with you.
oh,
but
yeah, but
That's why.
it was just a more fair way after the county took 911 back from the 28E that ran it originally.
Right,
It was just a more fair tax levy because everybody in the county's paying the same rate.
right,
And everybody obviously uses 911 at the same rate.
yeah, yeah. No, I know that was quite the,
Yeah, it was a little
a
consternation.
yeah, a little tough. Okay,
Bob, what's the huge change in your general supplemental fund where it went from 875 to 989? From your budget of 2021 was 875, now you want 989.
879,
Is that the insurance costs?
yeah, the only major cost piece that I've seen that's, significantly different is the insurance, contribute, from 488, budget to 581. And that's just, a number I get from when I take I have 24 employees on the family plan at 1,677 times 12 months is 482. I have 9 on the single at 712 times 12 is 76,000. And then the dental portion of that at the same 27 and 6 rate, another 21,000. That equals $581,616.
So did you have some people go from single to family?
As of right now, I have 3 people that I do not know what they are, and so I have to.
So this might be high.
Yes. That's, I have to do that because I don't know what, until I hire them, I don't know what they'll be at.
What's that? Could be 2 pennies. It's a pretty easy budget, the only, Becky, if I recall, if there's any funding that out of Bob's budget that does not get spent, it goes to our general fund. That's correct, right? Yeah. When will you have these people hired, Bob?
So I have the 2 that I just got the one's background handed to me today. The psych evaluation was scheduled last week, so I should be getting the results that week. Once I have that, I will contact them. They'll give it 2 weeks' notice, and they'll be in the training program.
So within a month, you'll know what
I-
you want for insurance.
Yes, I'm hoping so.
Okay.
And then I have a third one that I'm, obviously, our third one fell out during the background investigation, so I gotta go to my eligibility list, pick that one up, and that one's obviously going to be 3 months behind these 2. So that will be the third one that I will not know that information for.
how long a list do you keep for eligibility?
I try to keep, well, we tell them it's good for about a year, but we always, obviously, when we go back to this list, people get jobs. So
Sure.
so a lot of times,
How many do you have on there?
right now, I believe our list was set at 8.
Okay.
And this will be the first time I'm having to go and, utilize it. So I don't know how many of those people have dropped off from it.
Yeah, how deep you have to go.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, one more real quick.
Sure.
From the time you end the posting for the job and you start interviewing people, how long does that take before you can get them actually in there working?
So from the time of posting the paper till somebody's actually an employee working on the floor is normally estimated to be about a 12-month process. We've changed
No, I mean, from the closing of the posting to when they're hired.
that's about 4 months.
Why does that take so long?
Just all the process,
Can you speed that up somehow?
that's what it used to be 6 months.
Part of it's background stuff, trying to get the credit reports, the criminal histories, all those kinds of things. That's something we can affect. It's gonna take what it takes from those agencies to respond back to us. But I think the sheriff would agree with me that we're committed, not just with 911, but all 3 entities to speed hiring up. Because hiring, as you guys know, is gonna be more and more difficult in these jobs as we go forward.
Do you lose a certain amount of people during the process?
That's
I mean, not from background checks, I mean, they're just, they can't wait no more.
absolutely.
I'll go find another job.
That's one of the things we
Well,
recognized.
We've got an operator that's testing for us. So I mean, he believes the next step for his career is gonna be to be a deputy now. And so we robbed Bob to pay us.
Oh.
And so that's always a problem. But we like that. That culture is a good culture, when we can hire people and say, listen, if you wanna get on the sheriff's department, here's a good way of doing it. Become a detention officer, become a 911 operator. So,
So, with that being said, is the landscape equal out there that it takes everybody 4 to 6 months? I mean, has somebody else got a new widget that they're able to do it
Other
2
counties,
months or?
No, well, the other counties probably don't do as an extensive background check and, criminal check as we do. We have our investigators, reach out to, their credit card companies, to their past employers, to their,
Yeah.
references they check on there. It just takes time to do that, so. I think we do more of a thorough background investigation, but that's why we get candidates that are easy hires, but then we also wash a lot of candidates that go to smaller counties because they don't do the voice stress test and, the extensive background check like we do, because, I mean, between credit checks and, voice stress tests, we weed out a lot of people that aren't responsible yet, so.
The intensity of the background. Yeah, okay.
And the one thing that we have noticed, because we have this year really tried to minimize the time to really, where can we, streamline stuff at? And because one thing we have noted is, okay, they go into background, we don't talk to these people for 2 months. And we call them up and they, well, we thought you guys forgot about us. So what we did to kind of keep everybody still up to, they're hearing from us once in a while, is now scheduling those physicals and things and the psych test. Every 2 or 3 weeks, we're calling them, hey, we're ready to schedule the next thing. We're not waiting for that complete process to be done before we go on to the next thing. So it streamlines it, it keeps the applicant, engaged with it, knows that they're still in the process. Because we've lost great candidates with, I just took a job 2 weeks ago because I thought you just forgot to call me and tell me I didn't have the job. And those are learns that we've corrected this year.
okay, good.
Well, if you look at our deputy test, we test Saturday for deputies, we've had the position open the whole month of December, it's closed. They have been notified to show up at the Mid-America Center for their written examination and physical. We're sitting about, 64? 2?
that was the last number we had.
62 or 64.
62, give or take. So we'll lose half alone in the physical and written come Saturday, and I guarantee we probably lose 20 not even showing up. So we'll be looking at a list about 20 people if we're lucky, but then after that, then we do interviews and then give one a conditional offer, and then of course it's background check, voice stress, MMPI, psychological evaluation, all that kind of stuff. So then hopefully have them in the academy by April, so.
Okay.
It's just a process.
So you give them a conditional offer before you start all that stuff? Do you do that? Okay.
We kinda have to, because then once we're requiring them to take, the psychological evaluation, physical stuff like that, we have to essentially have them on payroll, so.
And Leanne will join in, it's a legal requirement. You have to give a conditional now to do those kinds of things.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay,
Monday.
yeah.
Not that much.
When are you looking at moving back?
I just talked to Jason before I came in here. He said that unofficially, that we should probably start April 1st getting our guys in there to start putting our equipment back in there. Not occupying, not operating out of there, but at least getting the equipment back in there and the server room hooked up and all the equipment. That, on the high side, another additional 2 months, but we think, we're getting that estimate from, that's how long it took us to build the backup center. But we think with buildings and grounds help, IT help, we probably, hopefully optimistically cut that in half, probably done in a month. So it'd be wonderful and great if we could be operating there by May 1st.
Okay.
What's the balance of your E911 fund?
You got it here.
Yep, it's about I think the reserve set at $1.7 million.
1.7, is that all budgeted to be spent?
No, what that's being earmarked for is for a radio project that we have that's at $1.8 million.
Are you gonna pay for the new equipment and desks and stuff that you're gonna need in the new comm center?
So once we get to that level and we determine what we need, we'll come to either one of the boards and say or look at my current budget, obviously, if I have money in there, that's all I'll use.
You mean your current E911 budget?
current E91 budget as well.
I think Tim's saying, don't come to us.
I know.
You know what, that's pretty good. Yeah, okay, that's all.
Okay.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Little money, little money. Who's next?
Jail.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Page 2 before they start.
Have any changes?
Yep, we're good, we're good, yep, yep. Thanks, Tina.
So we talk about the revenue first. So, yep. You want to go the overall revenue or you want line by line?
Kind of do a quick line by line, if you would.
So the first one, we talk about the very first one, is the miscellaneous revenue for the fingerprint, for the photos and all the miscellaneous in the jail. So we budget 25,000, so we keep it 25,000. And the second one is the CBBD building for the housing. So we budget 100,000, so we keep the 100,000 this year and next year. And the third one is the federal. We budget for $1.8 million, and then we budget for, re-estimate this year 2.2 million, and then next year 2 million.
Okay, would you stop right there for a second? Two real quick questions for you. Did we sign a new contract with the federal marshals?
Yeah, we did.
That never came to the board for some reason, and it should have. What are we now receiving per prisoner per day?
$110.
110, and does it still cost us 125, 130 to keep them?
My understanding is now we actually pocket a little bit, right? That the total cost per day is less than 110. Am I mistaken?
It varies, but when they did the math, they did the overall budget divided by the ADP, and that's the number that they've been using.
That's
We're
the
close.
number that was given to us by Jeff, when Jeff said that it cost about $125 a day to keep them. Okay, so at least we're getting closer.
We
So,
are the highest in the state, by the way, with that renegotiation.
how long of a contract was it?
May,
How long?
how long, so.
And do you guys wanna see that? I'll make sure it gets here.
Yeah, we should.
Like a 5-year deal, or how many years?
It's,
We should have-
3,
we
and
should
then
have
it
that.
continues unless
Jeff,
it
can you
opens
send a
up.
copy to me too, please?
Three up to 7, you said?
It's 3, they don't want you to go back to renegotiate in 3 years, but then it can continue unless somebody wants to open it back up at that time.
Does it have an automatic escalator in it?
No.
Who negotiated that?
The contract itself,
Yeah.
sheriff and chief and I.
Okay.
So when did that go into effect, that
May.
contract?
May,
May of this,
last May.
wow. Oh. Okay.
We should probably see.
It wasn't retroactive, was it, or anything?
No.
That was the day it started?
Mhm.
So what would, maybe just a quick question, how many federal prisoners do we have right now?
About 50.
50? Is that the norm? What are they guaranteed?
They are guaranteed, technically none now.
Oh, none now, but if they did.
It was
have-
75 with the previous.
It was at 75?
Yeah.
Okay, now it's 50, okay, thank you.
It's not 50, they're not guaranteed that.
No,
It's just
but
what
I
we
mean,
have,
You have 50 there.
yes.
So Nina, that revenue, you budgeted 1.8 last year. It's re-estimated to 2, we're halfway through the year. You think we're gonna hit that 2.5 million in revenue?
2.5,
Two,
We-
just two.
we will.
What was that?
Right now, we are 1.2, so you're talking about, can we make it 2.5? No, we will make it 2 million,
No,
for
it's
sure.
not bottom line, total revenues.
Oh, the total?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we will make it 2.6.
Pardon me?
Right now, we budget, 2.3, right?
No, you
You're talking about that?
budgeted 1.8 million for the
Yep.
2021 budget. Currently, year-to-date, you've got about 1.3.
Yep.
Which, rounded down to 2.5 million. Will you get that?
I
Will you
don't.
double that?
It depends, we don't know, because right now we don't have a lot of immigration. You look at that now. We
You're
might make it
concerned about making up
2.2.
that piece there.
We might make it 2.2, but I'm not sure that 2.5, it depends.
I know it's a budget, and I know it's more of an educated
talking
guess
about-
than a,
Right.
Then
Then
the
a throw a
federal-
dart on the
federal-
wall thing.
federal.
But if-
1.8, and she wondered if we can make 2.5.
we haven't got there yet, the expenses,
I thought
I've
you
already
said
looked, I know
this.
where we're at on overtime. I'm just trying to find a way where we can actually find the revenue to cover the overtime.
Right.
You know, if we're budgeting 2 million and we actually collect 2.5, that's 9 cents on the levy. Did you follow me?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay. I just wanna make sure that we're realistic in our revenues, and I don't wanna make them a guess of 3 million and we know we're not gonna make it. I don't wanna do that.
Right.
But I don't wanna underestimate it by a $500,000 and, raise taxes 9 cents when we may not have to.
No, I get it, absolutely, and, I mean, I think when we talk about overtime down the road, you're gonna see the difference between fully staffed versus partial staffing. And that's what's killing these guys, partial staffing. And it's causing, and COVID is causing their overtime to go crazy. But we'll talk about that when we get there, but I see what you're going to, absolutely.
Yeah, and you can go right down to the next line on state of Iowa. We budget, 80 million and we're already at 101.
2,000.
Or, I mean.
The reason we got that many, because for the last few months, we had to hold for the OC. They don't transport to Oakdale yet, so that's why we got more money. So right now, we hold less people, so we just budget another 120.
Okay, but your total activity in 18 and 19.
101.
revenues was 91 million.
Yep.
Or 93,000, sorry. And in your 1920 activity was 93,450. You've already got 101 here, but we only budget 80. When we're bringing in 90. Just asking.
So you'd like to see those revenue numbers pushed?
Well,
More realistic.
I just like us to keep that in.
Yeah, because we walk away thinking it's 80.
No,
Now,
I get it.
You get that extra
I
10,000.
mean, you're talking to a guy who got his house reappraised last year,
Yeah.
so I'm very sensitive to this, yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, for this year, we can make it 120 or 140, but next year we might go to 90.
I would ask, we'll probably bring you back in, I would ask for you guys to consider that.
Okay.
Realistic revenues on both the federal prisoners and the state.
And
the state.
I'd let Nina chime in on this, but part of the issue is COVID. Because COVID is affecting, like, the delay in transports to the state. So we're getting a little more revenue because of that delayed transport, but as soon as COVID realistically starts dropping away, that's all going away.
Yeah, because they were making weekly trips to the jail, picking up their state inmates every week prior to COVID. Now, there for a while, they had to shut down completely for several months on end, where they weren't taking any new intakes, so our jail was full of sentenced inmates waiting to go to prison. So that's why they are paying us for their inmates, because once they get sentenced to prison through the state, they could become state property. So that's why our numbers are going up this year, is because on top of them locking down for several months at a time, now we're having to wait over 2 weeks just to get their COVID tests done before we can even ship them out. And we're doing the transport for them now too, so we're billing the state for transports. They're not even doing transports anymore. So,
Are we still getting $50 a day from the state? And aren't we the lowest county in the whole state when it comes to reimbursement for state prisoners?
Not from DOC.
Pardon me?
From DOC? I think
From
that's
the
a
state.
standard for the state.
From the state?
Everybody else is getting more than that $50.
Not from the DOC.
Not for the Department of Corrections.
Department of Corrections pays 50, that's it, to anybody. That's not us being lower than the other counties.
Now, if you're talking about other county jails charging different county jails money,
Well, then
that's
maybe we
different than
need
the
to
state
change
standard.
legislation, because that's not enough.
Oh, I completely agree.
I mean, if it's true that it's $125 a day to house a prisoner, and don't care if it's the state, cities, the counties, or feds, and we get $50 reimbursement, hell, if I was the state, I'd let them all stay here.
Well, let's not-
Well, probably shouldn't have said
I
that.
will say, don't encourage it.
Well, luckily, nobody from the state's watching right now, but it's the same thing we have in the court system too. I mean, when they even went, paperless a few years back, essentially all it rolls back is on the counties. I mean, the state's trying to save themselves money, no different than our inmates in our jail. Same thing happens through the court system. The money comes back on the local counties to, essentially, print off their orders. And I mean, when it comes to reams of paper, they may be saving a ream of paper while we're getting, having to print off an extra ream of paper. So it's just something that simple.
I thought you told me one time, Tiffany, that other counties get reimbursed more than we do.
Federal.
And no one-
Federal was, but now with our renegotiation, we are the highest,
It doesn't,
for
but
federal,
everybody gets paid the same in the state?
from DOC.
Department of
every
Corrections, that's
county-
Iowa.
If we wanna hold for another county in Iowa, or if we had room and an out-of-county minimus wanted to serve their time in our jail, that daily per diem rate, every county sets their own of that, and we are not the lowest in that either.
How do we fix that? $50?
That's
It's
statewide,
state.
that's statewide.
Your day at the legislature.
That is.
Put it on your legislative priority list.
You'd be lucky if you got 51 by the time you did whatever the hours up there do.
Well,
I mean, honestly. I'm not, we
we
can
ought
make
to,
it.
we ought to be sending them a bill once
We
we
can-
sentence
we
them.
can
We
make-
hold them 14 days, let's just send them a bill for the 110.
Well, you can send a bill all you want.
I know, but
They'll send us unfunded mandates back at us. I mean, the process, since I have been here, I guess, would be their association as well as our association continue to put that as one of their priorities of getting the DOJ or DOC to look at some sort of cost of living increase or whatever you want to call it to get that. How many years has it been at 50? 20?
Tiffany would know better than the rest of us.
DOC, $50 your
Yeah.
whole time here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 11 at least.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's an argument to be made there, but if we're not all singing, and they're not all hearing it, then,
Well, and you gotta understand too, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Tiffany, like, over half of our population in the jail are considered state inmates because they're either parolees or, probation violators, and that's
Yeah.
all we have is reoffenders in there. And that's a hindrance towards us because the state pays $50 for their parolees and probation violators, and, I mean, our local offenders are, a few numbers here and there, and that's, it's just the fact of the state's taking advantage of these counties, so.
what's the cheapest cost for jail? Is there a cheap jail in the state? I mean, county jail?
No, because I mean, if they have the same issues we are, they're getting the same amount of money as what, cause if there's a 14-bed jail and they have 10 probation violators in there, they're getting $50 a day from the state for them, but then their local inmates, of course, if they don't have the program we have, they're there for free until they get sentenced, I guess, but.
I would assume our daily cost is a little higher than lots of
Right.
other rural counties.
Yes.
We pay more money to detention officers, because we're in an urban area, we have to compete for those wages and
Correct.
stuff. I don't know that number, but I can get it for you.
Just
That's your list.
turning things in my head.
You're thinking about sending our.
Yes.
That-
And saving money.
Well, I mean, of course, I think the majority of the time we send our juveniles down to mills if we have, if we need it, because it's cheaper than juvenile detention. Cause once they get waived to adult court, they're considered our inmate. So it's cheaper for us to take them down to Mills County. They may charge us $70 a day to, take care of this kid, while juvenile detention will charge us, what,
$165.
$65 for that same kid, so we do try to do savings that way, but, I mean, it's just pennies here and there on top of the big scheme of
That's
things,
a good
so.
move. I mean, too bad we couldn't do it with these other prisoners.
The state, that's a good deal. I mean, not say good deal, you bring that discussion up on the juveniles. Does the state not have there's no state charges that can put a juvenile over there and what they get paid?
Well, they're technically, for a juvenile to reoffend on a probation is slim, they're usually first-time offenders and then get sent away until they become adults.
Right?
So, really, you don't see very many juvenile probation violators, so they're not state property until they're actually convicted, so.
Okay.
And that's why we have a lot of state property in our jail now, because they're all reoffenders.
Right.
Of course, prisons are full, so they put them on probation and they reoffend and they're back in our jail, so.
Is that juvenile detention is a 28E with all the counties? I guess I've never been involved in that, how they set their, are they not regulated, how they set their rate? All the counties agree to that rate?
I don't think they have much of a choice, because a juvenile's a juvenile, it's just the fact of if that local jurisdiction or the courts waive that juvenile to adult court, then they have more to play with, because they can then bring them back to their facility, which
Right.
would be cheaper for them.
Okay.
So, but if their charges aren't serious enough and they have to sit there at juvenile detention, then they really don't have a choice, because that's the only detention center in the area, so.
Okay. Okay.
Tough formula,
It is.
it really is. It's the first I knew of this.
So Nina, what's going on with your work release fees?
The work release, because in the COVID, we don't have any work release at all because of the COVID, so we don't have any. So we might not have it until the end of this year either. That's why we don't have any money.
You know, when it comes to work release, fingerprinting, I mean, a lot of the stuff, the revenue we used to get in years past are not happening because we don't wanna bring, people out on the streets into our facility and possibly contaminate the jail, so we haven't been getting money from that. And of course, the state has kicked almost all the criminal cases, into spring now. I mean, we haven't had a jury trial in almost a year. So, it's going to, let's just say business will be good probably once this COVID restrictions start lifting, so.
Business would be good.
But yeah, so we didn't want people, like Andy said, in and out, especially with COVID, when we didn't know, they coming in and out and contaminating our area. And in addition to that, even if we were to take them right now, because of COVID, we don't actually have room because we had to take a housing unit to make a quarantine unit. So somebody's first 14 days that they're there, they're in the quarantine area before they go to general population. And so where we used to house the work release people, that's our minimum security overflow that used to be in the housing unit that is now the quarantine unit. So it was some shifting there. So yeah, we have not had any inmates on work release.
How is COVID in the jail?
Pretty stable right now.
Yeah, we had a good run until, a couple months ago was when we started getting hit pretty hard.
Yeah, we got hit from October to December really hard.
It's lightening up now.
It's getting
Seems to be slowing
controlled.
down.
Controlled, a better word for it.
Yeah.
Because we went from 0 to 100 real fast, so I mean,
Okay. Wow.
Any more on the revenue there?
You have no more question on the revenue?
What's this inmate phone reimbursement? I don't get that.
The inmate phone reimbursement, this is the phone system the inmate use in the jail. So we have a company, we have turnkey company, they provide the phone service to the inmate in jail. So they pay us every month for that, for the commission.
They have to pay to use the phone.
yep.
That's
So part of the
that's
revenue
simple.
is them calling their families, FaceTiming their family essentially on their devices they have there through turnkey as well as commissary. I mean, They can buy
Okay.
ramen noodles and chips for a
There's
little bit of
expenses that go
inflation
with
for
that.
revenue.
Convenience store pricing.
What's that?
Convenience store pricing.
Convenience store
comparable.
pricing. Cause it's convenient.
Movie theater. The closest
I don't think we have any
movie
popcorn there unless they buy bags of it.
So,
The work release, you should that be 120?
Work release.
Releases.
It's at 30.
That is the term we call, but that is the inmate phone service. 120,000? Yeah, that's the inmate phone service.
yeah. Are you talking the line, with 22,000?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just 20, she lowered it to 15.
Okay.
She re-estimated this year to get maybe to 22, hoping that they'll,
Or
Are you
the
talking about,
inmate health work release. That is the miscellaneous and co-pay medical charge for the inmate in the jail. So we got 19,000, so I budget on 22,000. So last year, the reason we lowered to the 15,000. The
yeah,
medical
that's,
care.
medical co-pays for doctor, dentist, nurse, and prescriptions and over-the-counter prescribed medication. And, we're probably looking at, that being, certain things, not gonna be able to collect on moving forward, and so kind of just bracing for that.
Okay.
Some of the groups between the ombudsman and some other, advocacy groups, are working towards getting that, so where they don't have to pay even those co-pays for that. We do have some option under 356.7 in the room and board statute to track those and then put them there, but we just, have not made that shift yet.
Okay.
so the payment is not a Medicare, Medicaid payment, it's an actual family payment that somebody's paying?
Yeah.
Money from the inmate.
They lose their benefits. Their benefits are suspended once they're in.
Okay.
And they have them in that first 30 days. They're not suspended yet, but that only covers if they're admitted to the hospital.
Okay,
So they don't qualify for our providers, and they don't, qualify for an emergency room visit without being admitted.
okay.
Justin, you think we could squeeze another 5 out of that? Second for the bottom revenue. The, pay to stay.
A room,
The
pay
room
to
and
stay?
board.
Bringing in, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, in 1819 it was 70,000, and 1920 it was 67. This year they're on pace for 70. I mean, it's not a big deal.
And that really is just slow because of people out of work, so even some of the people on the payment plans are maybe reducing payments or, out of work because of COVID and not able to even make those payments that are on the payment plan.
I'll highlight that one.
Not much, but 10 of those make a penny.
Okay, any more on the revenue?
I think we're good.
Go to the expenses?
That first line, is that you? Tiffany?
Yep.
The
No.
first line is
COVID-19.
COVID.
The second one.
The salaries for regular employees, the 140, that's a one-time deal, I'm guessing.
What is that?
Which one, the regular?
The first COVID one.
The first COVID one.
What Jana was talking about this
That's the
morning.
one we pay for people who's on COVID leave.
That's all reimbursable though.
Okay.
It's all reimbursable, right?
Is that all overtime or is that
Regular.
all COVID time? Only overtime is reimbursable. So if I worked 6 to 6 and I was out, I don't get reimbursed for my time, but whoever worked for me, if it cost them overtime, that gets reimbursed.
Have we been tracking that?
We asked that question out in the hallway before we came in here, because I think there is, and Becky and I talked about it a little bit, that from my background downstairs, whenever we got FEMA reimbursement for, they asked us to come back and recreate those pay records, so they would reimburse us. And I think, as you guys know, there's probably a shot that there's gonna be more COVID money coming this spring under the new administration to local and state, and we're probably gonna have to come back and recreate those funds, and we think, obviously, we can put a dent in some of these line items with that money, but we don't have it yet. I mean, I'm just guessing. But Becky, didn't you create all the 19 line items just?
Becky Linehan and I, yes,
Yeah,
at the direction
okay.
of HR and payroll as they were being used. And as long as the hours are being reported in the right line items, yeah, it's being tracked.
So what, is it,
There's an overtime correlating in there, there's, yeah,
but I
there,
mean, I'm just gonna go to the middle of that line, and that same line where there was only $2,971.32 and 19, is that from carryover from the flood or something, or
no, it's still COVID.
that was COVID?
That was before July 1st,
Of 19?
Oh, 20.
20?
1920, so
Oh, okay.
you're seeing the break between the new numbers started July 1st of 2020.
Okay.
Do you have any more question on the first page?
Well, I mean, if we are making and giving expenditure out of this line, it should be coming out of somewhere else, right?
This money right now, we called it one COVID-19, but it's still taken out of the regular salary. You mean the COVID money, the COVID salary? We called it 119, that's it for COVID-19, but it's still taken out of our regular salary.
So would that be a federal government code that we have?
That's the one Becky said that we called it if we pay it for COVID leave.
Is that why that's in its own
I think I
line?
know what you're asking, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, if we're
To
spending
budget that
$140,000.
$140,000 to be
You're looking
spent
for the
there.
offset.
Right, the
Right,
offset
right,
from the
yeah,
other
yeah.
account code, that wasn't, right, that would have been regular hours.
Right.
So if we're anticipating spending some, having some expenses related to COVID, where's the revenue coming in? Where's the anticipated revenue coming in from COVID?
And I can't answer that. Have we gotten that money?
So the revenue so far has been built in Board of Health, I believe, to come back in. But let me check. It would be the same fund, but
We haven't received any,
we've received a little bit, but not a lot.
yeah, we have like 1.3 million that hasn't come in yet.
Correct.
Ballparking.
Correct.
Okay, just so long as I
No, you're tracking, because at some point, we should be able to offset that, if that money comes. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Real quick, Stephanie, or Tiffany, excuse me. Admin people at the jail, how many?
How many?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6?
6 counting
And
me
then
now.
how many staff?
93 detention,
29, right?
Hmm?
Yeah,
93 detention, 3 administrative, and
So they're not, the 3 admins aren't in the 6?
7 medical.
So
So you have 9 admins or 3 or 6?
yeah.
If you want to count me and the detention managers with all the administrative
Yeah.
assistant types, then 9.
9, okay. And then 93 staff,
93 detention.
okay.
7 medical?
7 medical, that doesn't include those contracted
That
guys.
does not include any contract or PRN. It's
Okay,
just the full-time.
okay, thank you. And then, any knowing retirements or?
Retirements, I have 1 letter in for June. officially submitted. I have one, saying this year, but she has not figured out, her IPERS yet. It will be this calendar year.
Okay.
That's the only I know of. I have probably 4 that are eligible, that have not,
If I can just parlay off of that for a second,
Yeah,
Scott.
yeah.
When Scott mentioned retirees, you have 2 of them. What's their payouts? Do you know any of that yet?
I do not.
How are you gonna pay for that? Was it in your budget last year, right?
It was not. I just got the letter. I wouldn't have known to put it in the budget last year.
Okay. Is
The
it in your
one might
budget
not.
this year?
Hmm?
Is it in this year's budget?
No. Are you talking sick leave buyout?
Yeah.
One of them won't be eligible.
And vacation payout, right?
Right.
Right.
Okay.
We don't, that's not usually separated that way with just the vacation payout because we have a gap in service of employees that's also coming out of that line item, and then the new employees that do replace them start at a lower rate.
Becky, do we pay
I'm
that?
trying to get to where you wanted to be someday,
No.
Scott, when you know,
No.
we know ahead of time, when we talk to our department heads, do we have any retirees this next fiscal year? So at least we know their one-time costs and.
Well, and to piggyback on that, do you like that payment to be made out of just a regular salaries line item?
We're checking on, and they're in the code section to see if we can't go out of, like, gaming or supplemental on that. And in the code, which I did go look that up while you guys were eating lunch, it says benefits. Well, if payout of sick leave and vacation is a
That's a benefit.
benefit, I think we can do that, but
Alright, so at least
I'll make
we
sure we
covered
don't get
that.
our hands slapped,
Because
so.
in previous lives, we've always paid that on a salary because you always have vacant positions that aren't being funded, and that money can be used to pay that out. Am I,
But we're
Okay.
thinking for levy relief, we
It's a
can,
discussion,
we
yeah,
can make
okay.
some, yep.
got
Yep,
it,
good catch.
tracking?
So you think you have just one retiring next fiscal?
I have one this current fiscal year that has announced and turned in paperwork.
And next year,
I have one that says this calendar year is all she has said so far. She's not had her meeting with IPERS yet.
Okay.
I don't know many, but I do have 4 age-wise that are eligible. At least.
feel for them?
Not really. In conversations, that I've had with both of, or with 2 of them anyway, they've said, well, they'd probably hang out for another year or 2.
Probably has a lot to do with medical benefits.
I'm sure it does. And sometimes they wanna take, insurance, and so they wanna stay, to get their sick leave to a certain number or something like that, so.
First page of it, the second page, are we ready to go there? Did anybody see that first line item on that second page?
Why are you so silent?
I'm not excited about it, I'm disappointed.
Overtime.
Our year-to-date activity on our overtime is 400, can we expect $800,000 in overtime costs?
I'm hoping to have some relief from COVID calming down. We've had 42 people with COVID, and that's a big chunk of that.
So you only budgeted 600, where you're gonna come up with that other 2? If it goes to 800,000.
If
Well,
it goes to
hopefully you guys can
800,000.
figure out
Hope the COVID
who's
would
out.
be less.
It looks like 650 if we'd go the full fiscal, is that what I'm tracking? You're tracking the 324,034 year-to-date activity?
He's got it.
No,
The
403.
newer one was 403.
On page 2.
Okay,
Yeah, but under the 2021 year-to-date activity is the 324.
They have a more
Dated
current
before,
one.
they have a current one.
Oh, okay, oh, okay. Oh, we should have a meeting last week.
Oh, that's
No,
way
what-
up,
yeah.
Jeff.
okay,
The year-to-date that we have, that's as of the end of December is 40.
yeah, no, we were working on the December 31st, and it said January 31st. So there must be obviously a projected. So you're at 403, 838, that's where you're getting that number, got it.
So, I'm gonna go back to my
Well,
question.
this actually is through, I believe this report
The date and time on the bottom.
is the date on the bottom through the 7th,
Okay,
okay?
so we took a heck of a jump. Oh, that was on the 16th of December, my
Okay.
bad, got it.
You follow?
Yep,
Yep.
yep,
So this
absolutely.
overtime, you're able to go back and figure out who worked overtime because people were out for COVID, because that's gonna be reimbursable, correct?
Have we started
So
that?
that revenue's
We
not in
have
your line.
started. We have started in December with December on, but we have to go backwards and just make sure how it's divided up, so those are tracked,
We haven't
more
done
accurately.
anything since COVID started till December.
The account codes are in there and some of them are being used, and if we're able to get to an amount, we can get those
Yeah.
allocations journaled, so.
I
know, but-
It would be a lot more helpful for us if we could see, like, that'll become a revenue stream, 'cause it's reimbursed, and then you got your overtime that's coming out, we're thinking it's 800,000, but it might actually be only 500,000 or something, you know, like, we just need to know what.
I guess it's a product of when that cash gets released and moved back over to the budget, right?
Yeah, and we're a cash county, so it's not gonna, like, we could say we're gonna get it this year, but, and budget it there, well, then we'll end up getting it next year, and then you're gonna wanna reestimate your
At this
budget,
point, I'm
so.
not seeing that's even being accounted for in our revenue lines.
Well, I'd be,
Right, because we're
Kind
not
of big deal. I
receiving
mean,
it.
that there could be a lot of money sitting in overtime that could be reimbursable, that we should be taking advantage of,
Is
to our
your,
conversation earlier.
well, if you look
Staff
at the deadline that
full?
was proposed to us to get those.
it is full,
No,
93.
no.
No, we're
Fully
short.
staffed.
We're short detention officers.
7?
Oh,
We have
I
83.
didn't catch that.
We don't
Yeah,
have any.
remember there was a certain date, Matt
Yeah,
had to
doing
have all
training,
the
doing backgrounds, and
information.
we need to hire
Matt's been
another
running
Well,
these
it's not
reports
that
for other
same fund.
departments.
So Brian, we are short, to
Okay.
answer your
The one
question.
that,
Thank you,
that she
Jeff.
brought to us this morning, the same from the CARES money?
That can cut down a lot of overtime,
Well, you saw Bob here and what his overtime has done.
right?
That's the whole
It's a
product
part
of this.
Labor fund, I thought, but maybe I'm wrong. We gotta look at that.
We were reimbursed on overtime and,
I'm just hoping we didn't miss the boat on that either, cause if we did,
yeah,
that's,
I'm really disappointed if we missed the boat. If I had to guess, I'd say we missed the boat.
well, I don't know.
There was a deadline to have that done.
For overtime,
Wait, Jenna, you sent us something, what was this?
Me?
If Matt Wyatt was here, he could tell us if we missed the boat. He would know.
Never mind.
you don't remember, Jan?
Well,
I'm
the
sorry,
thing-
what's
The
the
thing we
question?
talked about first
The
thing this
state's
morning,
still sitting
with
on
the
a bunch of
reimbursed
money.
overtime that we've
Yes,
discussed.
that's what we're,
Is there a deadline on that we had to have that stuff turned in by?
to get reimbursed for, that I don't know. I will work with Matt and then,
Well, if it went through the 31st of December, you could have had the deadline before that.
Should have 30 days, shouldn't we? Will you find out for us, Jan?
I will find out more and then
I don't know
I'll
what
work
the
with
deadline would be
these
to turn it in.
departments.
Right, but I'm
and
just
see
saying-
what I'll figure it out.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep.
Point, my whole issue here is that if there is reimbursable overtime, that we need to go capture that money, and it doesn't matter if we don't get it for 2 years, we still need to see it in a revenue line somewhere.
Well, and we can beat up that line item, then we can really reduce that.
Well, the revenue accounts have been built, so I misspoke a few minutes ago. I see them, they're here, but because there's no activity in them, they're not printing on your sheets. And so they're built for the jail, the sheriff. That was, Matt Wyatt worked on all that, him and Maria, and worked with payroll and Becky Linehan and myself. So they're built, but there's no activity in them yet.
They're billed?
They're built,
Okay, so some of the
they're
jail
built in the
costs
system.
have been billed.
Some of it's being already tracked in here, some of it we can go through and fix those. But all of that was relayed through Board of Health at their request.
Up to
So
what date?
everything has been
Up to now?
put in as far as we know, but if
Okay.
it wasn't coded there yet, we can help get that corrected as soon as somebody knows that.
All right.
Like I said, Matt's team has been working on that.
So we
We
want to
just
go back
provide
to
them the means to
that.
do the tracking.
We want to get back to that, I want to say the March, is it 18th? The day of that declaration, that first proclamation she came out with? Was it the 18th? The day after, pardon?
Just, yeah, right around there, yeah.
I was gonna say like the day after, St. Patty's Day, I thought it was or so. But we want to go back to that day. And if it's overtime related to COVID, the best we can, I guess, err on the side of our side. And get as much of that going as we can. I mean, if you got from December now till now, at least you got to start on it, I guess. That would be helpful, so.
Members of the board, can you hear me? It's Matt Wyatt.
Yeah, Matt.
Hey, I called in regards to so to update everyone on the FEMA piece of where we are at. We have been tracking that data and gathering it from payroll. We have worked with Becky and payroll and Tyler to have a report built because it would seem as though trying to take all this information, enter it into a spreadsheet. I mean, we could hire 3 people to sit here for the county to track all of everyone's time when we have time system both in Tyler and Kronos that's available to pull the data for the report. We have submitted one billing so far through to FEMA, and that was when we went to the contractor with Whit O'Brien. And then that contractor is going to be coming here on site soon to go back through, and that will be then another billing in too. So we're not behind anywhere on where we should be as far as gathering all the information and putting in the FEMA reimbursements in on top of what we've been allocated for CARES. Getting the CARES funding was a big deal. That should be, I've been reassured by the state contractor, it should be deposited this week. So that's kind of where we're at on that right now.
Hey, Matt, who could tell us the number that we've submitted for the jail thus far?
I could pull that information and send it over.
Okay.
Matt, I think what we're worried about is making sure that those numbers are showing in the correct line items in Tyler versus where we pulled them and you guys have them managed. So, yeah, we just want to make sure we've got them all.
So really
And we will.
So really the 403 that we're seeing could be
mitigated by this, yeah.
180 or something.
Hey, Matt, one quick question for you. We had, 2 deadlines we had to meet. We made both of those, right?
Correct.
Okay. Does that prevent us from going back if we missed anything in the jail? Or we haven't missed anything in the jail?
I don't believe that we have missed anything, but we'll make, like I said, we'll work as hard as we have to make sure that we capture it all.
You're awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, Tiffany, so I guess it's already been done. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome. Anything else, let me know.
Okay. We want to
You have any more questions?
move on?
Push on through, unless
No.
somebody needs a break.
Maintenance,
Andy's over there excitedly waiting to get
These
out
are
of here.
people
Everything else is
with
pretty good, Scott,
COVID
until we get down, I
should
think, to
offset
COVID-19
payroll.
custodial supplies. You got $10,000 in there for custodial supplies. Is that in addition to what you would normally spend to keep the jail clean?
Yeah.
where did you see that one at?
Third.
Oh, you're up. I thought you were way down there. I see where you're at. Okay. So that would have been, Matt would have caught that one too.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got another COVID down here, document supplies. So that would have been, should have been caught. Data processing supplies. And there's another COVID, down here near the bottom of running. So those 3 should have been, are you grabbing those, Becky?
Yeah.
Those 3 COVID, they're coded the 19, so and there's 2 up here at the top, maintenance supplies, and then 100,000, oh, that's there's a 100,000 in overtime wages there. Yeah. So.
Holding and dry cleaning.
That's the part where I want to make sure it gets put to the right account code. Matt might have the data, but we want to make sure it shows.
So is that's just an estimate for the next year. Their 2021 budget, and then their 2022, the requested 100. Okay. sound reasonable, you think, 100,000?
I mean, 100,000 for overtime for the
Yeah,
COVID.
For the,
The reason why we budget 100,000 because before December, we did not know that we had to,
right,
work track on the overtime for the COVID. So since December, we were told that we had to track the hours of overtime working for COVID leave. That's why we did not increase much on the regular overtime because $100,000 on the COVID will be used for that COVID leave for overtime. That's why we have 100,000 for the overtime COVID leave.
okay. Now we go to page,
So that should be a pretty realistic number.
We hope so because
well,
we don't know.
and then this is, Matt mentioned FEMA, which if it's FEMA money, then we're still out,
25%. Oh, no,
well, we're out 15,
yeah, 50.
unless the state is gonna
Unless
pay.
they use CARES money to
Yeah,
make up your contribution.
Our contribution
Yep.
and stuff, so. Okay, you wanna go to page 3?
I don't see, there really isn't anything that changed on page 3, for the most part. I mean, did you say, Scott, they have 7 nurses?
7 medical.
Are they nurses, all of them?
6 of them are RNs.
What's the other?
LPN.
They're
Secretary.
Do we
clerical.
need 6 of them?
Well, we probably could use more than that.
We lobby the state, you need to get a little more than your $50 a day. Otherwise, you might have to.
Yeah.
So is there a nurse working all the time then?
We have nursing in the building from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay.
and then on call during the night. So of the 4 12-hour shifts, there's essentially 1 per shift and then
Yeah.
1 overflow one that works all of the shifts.
They're hourly employees though, right?
They are, yes.
Okay.
These are 12-hour shifts. What do they do, a 5-3 rotation?
No, 2 on, 2 off, a 2-2-3, 2-2-3, same as detention.
No overtime unless on call.
Right.
What's
For them.
the data processing equipment?
Was that back on
It's page 3.
On page 2.
You got activity of 11,000, the year before that was 188,000. And then you're guesstimating 80,000 and another 80,000.
That's for the maintenance.
Office data equipment, it's 627 is the code number.
That's the line item for the maintenance
Okay.
department.
No, the building maintenance is 82, right above
You need
that.
to look about 3 lines down is I think where he's at,
Yeah.
or 2 lines down.
I think that's just a name. That actually is, it's maintenance equipment.
Yeah, we have 2 line items for the maintenance department. That's either 44104 and then 44407
So it's not necessarily data processing equipment then? It's building?
You couldn't be any more inconsistent on any line item in the whole budget than that, you know?
We might want to take a look at that.
That's all maintenance, right, Mina?
Yeah.
Maintenance and building expenses?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's in maintenance.
And then, up here, medical and health services, T, your 4,000, 2,800, 4,000, 8,000, 4,000, 1,500, then jump 10 and 10.
This is the one, because starting last year, we had to do the TB test for the jail detention officer. So that's why
What test?
the TB test.
Tuberculosis.
So we had to pay to send all the staff over there to the Mercy to do the TB test every year. So that's why we had to pay the bill for that. Around 4,500 every year for the whole jail. So that's why we increased to 10,000.
The tuberculosis test is an annual test?
Yep.
Holy crap.
Is that because you're dealing with the inmates?
Because of the, a lot of the inmates have tuberculosis, so it's one of those things we gotta test them, because we do it every year to make sure, like, if we
So is
were,
it just the jail?
no, all deputies do it as well,
So
so,
the whole,
yeah.
But it's funny you mention it, because Linda and I had a conversation today about, does everybody have to have it? I mean, obviously the jail people do, obviously the sworn do, but we're gonna go, and we had this conversation this morning, in fact, about seeing if we can eliminate some of the clerical and stuff from that test, because as you guys all know, you don't go to a workplace and get TB tested. So we're looking into that.
okay,
But that won't come out of her budget, she's still got the 80,000, or 10,000.
yeah. That is, potentially, that's gonna be an ongoing deal, so, okay.
That's relatively minor compared to what could happen if one of our guys gets. So I don't really have an issue with that. Not only that, you said it's required.
Yeah.
I know it is on the law enforcement side, out jail standards, do they require it?
Jail standards don't, I don't think. Is it Jenna from your end?
Feels, I don't know.
No, from your end, HR
Oh.
perspective required from our,
I wouldn't say it was an HR standard.
I'll
Could
be
be,
Jeanette.
could be a risk management thing too, because
yeah.
I've done TB tests every year of my career, I've done 22 of them over the last time, I mean, so
No.
has been going on since the 90s, I don't know if it's,
I mean, anytime we have a large group of people together like that,
Okay,
would be recommended.
I gotta say, the 10,000 doesn't faze me much. I mean, one case would be way more than that, wouldn't it?
well,
Someone contacted it.
I don't know if we should go down that rabbit hole, I guess. It's just a test, it's not preventative, so regardless if we get TB or not,
you may
it's gonna
have
be
one-
expensive.
You may not have it one day, and the next day you may have it. So,
Wasn't that what we got shots for in school?
I think the main reason we take it is so for,
can public health
not
do
so much
that
preventive
testing?
maintenance, the fact of like, we can catch it earlier if we test positive over the year before,
Is
before we turn into like Dog Holiday.
Public health do that?
Yeah, they would, I mean, public health would just need to order the serum, right, and keep it at a certain degrees, and then they would just have to work with the jail. But I mean, the jail, because Tiffany, remind me, do you have someone come in, or do your nurses do this?
The Occ Health people come in
From
and then,
CHI?
yeah, from occupational health.
Good.
And you might,
Yeah,
since he's
it's going
not
on this
here,
afternoon.
when we made that transition to do it that way, Garfield was very involved at that time, and Dr. Kalar at Occ Health, had concerns with the previous way we had been doing them and, the validity and properness of them being done, to his satisfaction. So some of that kind of shifted, and I know we had some risk management conversations during those times before the current process that is in place, took over.
Okay, Doug. The other ones on here, you got educational training, which you probably just don't know what is gonna happen, and you got only spent 38, let's say 3,800 or 42,000. So,
That's, yeah, a couple of things waiting on COVID that are planned, but just haven't happened yet.
if they don't, then they're not gonna spend money, I take it.
Right.
Anything else on that page, Kelly?
I don't think so.
All right, Jeff,
What did you do with
I'm on page 4 of 6. When you look at the bottom line in the jail, and you can see that clear at the bottom of the page, pretty much, going from about 11.2 to 11.7, that's a $500,000 increase in expenditure.
So you're showing 11,
11 million.
and again, I'm probably tracking on the wrong sheet.
Here, Jeff, it's on,
Page
he's
four.
right here.
Okay.
So 11,192 versus 11,652, so you're talking,
260, 300,000, or, 460, $500,000 increase in spending.
So we balanced out the percentage of that, and I don't wanna be disingenuous about this because you know what the deal is. The spending actually was only 0.2, Nina, am I saying it right? 2.22
Yeah, 0.22.
increase
because,
in the entire budget. But go back to our revenues, and we obviously had a pretty good increase on that federal contract. So the spending is actually more than the 0.22.
That might pick up part of the 500, to $500,000, but we haven't even added any kind of an increase in salaries at all.
No, I get
No
that.
insurance increase, no salary increase, no workman's comp increase, none of that.
But I also think if we can get some of this COVID money, come in and backfill that, we're gonna diminish that substantially.
Not for a couple of years, probably.
Well, we should get the CARES money, I think, this year, shouldn't we?
yeah.
I know, we haven't got any yet.
Yeah, we did.
This week,
Very little. There was, Matt billed for like 1.2 or 1.3 million.
And I think we've got 300,000 each. So,
So,
I mean, here's the problem, as you guys well know from all the other departments. We're spending it and they're not reimbursing yet. Story of our life, and Scott and I lived that through the flood, and Lynn, in 2011. We spent it and we had to wait for reimbursement to come out of it.
that was about a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest, we don't have this money. And our valuations that did increase, that we know about, aren't gonna cover just your guys' budget alone. So, I'm not telling you to go find $500,000, but try to find $500,000 to balance this out.
And we can do that. I mean, we can go back and re-scrub. I'm not opposed to that at all.
I got a question on page 3. What's the miscellaneous overtime wages? Down towards the bottom, 4 up from the bottom. Says miscellaneous, or overtime wages, miscellaneous.
That's it for the medical department overtime. Medical department overtime for the nurses.
Okay.
you see, Jeff, on that first page, when we talked about the federal prisoners contract.
Right.
When, we're averaging over 2 million, and if you just doubled up what we brought in already, it brings us in at 2.6.
Right.
You guys budgeted 2 million. Is
No,
it
we can
realistic
re-scrub
to
that.
Pick up part of that?
Yep,
Okay.
we all with the sheriff will sit down and just take another look at that and see what we can do. And by that time, hopefully we'll have some more information from Matt and the folks at Public Health. And maybe we can give you a little bit better projection of how that's gonna backfill some of that. So we're gonna look for some money. No, we owe you that.
I mean, yeah, don't come back and just tell us, okay, well, we could do this. I mean,
No, I would definitely wanna be realistic. I don't wanna be sitting on June 30th and say, oh, by the way. Or go to her on May 1st and say, hey, we need an amendment. So, yeah, we'll realistically look at those numbers, and I'll reach out to Matt and see if I realistically can come up with a number that we're gonna get backfilled. Because that, I think, would bring some clarity to this entire process. No, sounds good.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Anything else for?
Thanks, ladies.
Christine?
Jeff, that really helps a lot too.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff.
Okay. Anything, you guys got anything?
Thanks, Andy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I was retired like 10 days ago.
Do you feel like retiring right now, Jeff? You're gonna have fun.
We're gonna see how much fun it is, yeah. We've been down this road before. Last one. This one's pretty easy. So yeah, we should have had the January 7th projections, I didn't know that. So we learned a valuable lesson on that.
Some of these too.
Well, first,
Thanks, Linda.
no, the one she gave me is January 6th, so it's pretty up to date.
It changed
Yeah,
enough
so I got-
that
Yeah.
we have to.
We had a little bit of bad info on that last budget, so we're a week or two behind.
Well, it's when they print those out.
Yeah, it just, and I didn't catch it, and
Yeah,
You want me
anytime
there?
you're looking at a Tyler report, look down in the bottom corner, that's what it's
We have
accurate.
projecting voices. Well,
Oh, yeah.
We're right here.
I was gonna make a joke.
We
but
might
we're
sneak
on-
out.
We're on video.
Linda, it's really nice to see you again. I haven't seen you for about a year.
I will. You know where we work out there? You're welcome to come out anytime. Take a tour.
It's too sick out
You can come over there and see the
It's too
jail.
sick? Come in on the sheriff's side. We're not as sick on the sheriff's side as the jail is.
I see the rest of the facilities, I don't wanna see the jail.
It's actually,
Never had a desire.
it might be
It's
fairly
worth it.
enlightening for you. I went through this morning, and it'd been a long time since I'd been through there. It really gave me clarity to some of the stuff they're doing and why they're doing it. So, yeah, we'd invite, obviously, all of you, anytime you wanna come out, come take a peek.
Through empty.
You wouldn't lock us up or anything.
Well, we went right on the floors with the inmates, so it was, and I saw one that I'd arrested in about 1982, so he's still at his particular craft yet.
And then again, that's why we have a lot of,
Retirement program.
yeah, well, we have third generation people that we're arresting that, you know, I babysat in 1999 up here. I mean, it's just, you have grandpa still offending with grandson, you know, it's the way it is. And that's why our medical bills and stuff like that are so high through here, because these guys come into jail with medical issues from years and years of abuse to their bodies, so.
Anything you want to tell us or highlight about your
You wanna
budget?
start?
How about the overall number? I was pretty impressed. What did we say? For year-to-year increase, Linda? we were-
0.
Really?
That was. They're all looking for something, is what they're looking for.
And again, I would
There
highlight,
are like 2 huge increases in the.
yeah,
budget.
now there's, again, we're being disingenuous a little bit because we brought the building remod and the sheriff's cars back into the budget, and you guys had removed sheriff's cars last year because of bonding. And we were asked to bring the remod into it. So we're not talking about those two things,
Okay.
but otherwise,
Yeah, you went up 2.7 million.
yeah, that's all those 2 line items.
Okay. That helps.
Or were you thinking we're over that much or what?
Yeah, it's like, are you guys joking right now, and is this some sort of?
No, it's because of those 2. That's like 300,000 for the
On page
vehicle.
7.
And then we added 1,600 million in for the expansion.
Okay.
So that's like,
Linda,
Let's go over
That's
that.
a much
Let's
easier
go over the
pill to swallow
revenue.
right now.
do you really expect a $20,000 increase in weapons permits in revenue?
that's what I was told.
Pardon me?
That's what I was told.
It's unbelievable out there.
Huh?
I thought you ran this.
No.
Oh.
Well, there would be.
I do run this, but I check with the people out there
There
that
would be a record
work in that
out there
department.
that because I'm gonna be out there soon. In, what would it have been, 2017? Is that 5 years or how many years?
2017 was, well, 4 years, give or take, if you do 3.
No, but how many years is your permit good for?
5.
Yeah, so 5 years ago, most of those, I don't know, 80% of those people, or maybe 100% of them are coming back, so you know what it was.
Yeah, that's guaranteed income, but then we also have a lot of new ones.
I'm amazed at the new permits that are walking in
It's
the
getting
door.
too easy for them. They can do their classes online and bring their certificate in or even through the mail and then they get issued a gun permit.
Right.
It's not like it used to be. It's easier and easier as these,
She got like 46 permits, or 46 applications for weapons permits in one day.
yeah, I probably signed off already just, well, starting last Monday, I probably signed off on 60 weapons permits already, so, and renewals, of course, but.
How much of those dollars you get to keep per permit?
For what, for the county alone?
For the
Do
county?
we get to keep that? Well, how much do we send? I don't know. I really don't know.
I heard that number, but I don't know it. Some of it goes to DPS and then we
Yeah,
get to keep the rest of it.
Right.
Yeah, I can get that for you.
All right, as long as you're comfortable with that, that's all I want. You know, I wanna be extremely nice to you
Make
today.
more
Well,
counties safer, you should feel
Brian-
super American about signing all those.
Brian,
I'm not complaining one bit.
Brian, would kind of like to just go over that first page row.
Yes,
Well, you've been involved in it before, because you paid it from Crescent.
right. Okay, the small town contracts. Didn't we have a 3% increase for a number of years? We voted that in.
We did.
This
Okay.
was the last year for the 3%.
Is not the population, the census coming like in the next few weeks?
It got delayed, so sometime this year allegedly.
Okay, because that may adjust those numbers too a little, correct?
Yeah, this should've went up 3%, you're right, Brian.
Yeah,
It did for
it
the
was,
current
'cause-
year, but then I checked,
What's that?
and the last 3% was for this current fiscal year. Then you guys did not make, Any motion.
3 years, I think.
you did not make
It
it.
was 3 years.
So we
For
need
the
July
years,
1st
renew
of
all the contracts again now.
2021, you guys did not set an increase for that. So there's no increase in here.
And, we go over that again.
Heck was that meeting?
That was out in Oakland, wasn't it? You did it?
Yes, it was.
Can't be in 3 years.
Has that been 3 years ago?
That would have been 18, you guys, or even 17. It's a real possibility.
18, 19, 20, yeah, so we're up. Okay, so we need to get that done too. We haven't signed any of those for next year yet, right? No. Okay.
Unless it was done in December, but no.
No, the contracts, they usually go out in March to the towns, and then they
So we
sign
should
off, and
have
then
the
it comes
census
in.
by then too, which could be a big deal.
I don't know if you're going to. And I'm just telling you what I'm reading in the papers, that it got delayed.
I know they were delaying it, but, okay, that was my question.
The good thing about that, Brian, is if the first year we go on a per capita on the old census, as soon as we get the new census, it would automatically go up. Because we
Correct.
did that per person, not. The only one that had any kind of a change was, I think, Trainer, when they extended, they wanted extra
Subdivision.
coverage or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you'll see increases in Trainer, Underwood, whatever, but I think we'll also see some losses, maybe a Vocal Walnut out that way.
As a citizen of Crescent, I didn't think 3% was a bad raise, you guys. I really didn't.
Yeah, you're not talking.
And that's up to you guys.
Got a lot of big dummy to sit out on our street the other day.
Plus some.
Well, you didn't know he set a car out there with a dummy in it? We've got a lot of traffic.
All right.
I don't know what the little towns are gonna, their budgets, I think they're probably pretty constrained also, but I think having that discussion is probably,
Well, I mean, for Crescent, you're talking, you know, $350.
330 bucks,
Yeah.
350?
well, then it goes 600 and 1,000 in 3 years.
Well, then
No, it goes up
So
3%.
you'd be 600 for
3%,
a
we'll go
Voca.
up 354 the next year.
Okay,
To 354, not up another 354.
Does Voca still have a police officer?
Did you say it's
They
going up
do,
next year,
but he was-
$354?
He's going.
This year.
He's working? Okay. He was injured for a while, he's back.
Next year.
So are you out on a Voca?
Not the same.
We still
Well,
get,
yeah, we still have to, I mean, he
Partial
only
time.
works,
Good total.
Okay,
Usually
so
Monday
you
through
still
Friday.
contract with them?
oh yeah.
So
All right.
That's why it's not gonna be the same numbers, because they kinda offset with their
Uh,
with their
okay, I
chief,
see
and then
that.
we cover the rest of it.
23 the first year.
well, and then, Andy, we,
I'm with you, Justin, I was going on the per diem rate, you were going on the actual cost.
Yes,
we may want to have you and Jeff come back in and discuss how we want to approach the cities in which you guys are feeling on that. And, you know, I know you're the new sheriff, and you want to start raising the fees on the cities, and I guess we need to have a healthy discussion about that, and make sure everybody's comfortable, I guess.
So, well, the discussion started the last time, and I don't wanna go, stay on this forever, but, their costs hadn't changed for like
Oh, no, I
25
know,
or
I
30
know.
years.
Trust me,
So, it's only
Cars
went up.
are up, guns are up.
So,
Everything.
if we stay in that 3% and make it an annual escalator, I don't have any issues with it.
well, if they look at whatever COLA or consumer price, I don't think you're seeing.
Yeah, you could even set it up on CPI or something so that every year it just goes up the consumer price index.
Right, because those aren't going that high, I don't think,
I
so.
think we had that meeting though, we determined that we're never gonna catch up.
Right, oh,
always gonna
no,
be an
there's,
expense.
there's never
I
gonna,
believe that.
I mean, it's like the rural levy, but that's a whole different. So Brian, anything else on that revenue page?
No, that was a big question of mine.
Do you not have questions for the first two lines up there? Why
Hold
were
on,
those
let
in
me
mine?
back up, I'll see.
I thought for sure, when you see a negative, I thought for sure you'd have a question.
Are we getting grants from gaming? Do you get grants from any?
You
It
guys,
comes to
right?
us.
You
It
control
comes,
that.
okay,
It
okay.
comes to us
Yeah.
and we would allocate it to them. John Rasmussen's got different though. Cause we gave it to him.
I'm sorry, say that again.
So like when John Rasmussen presented his budget, he had a gaming line item on there.
A lot of times with those were billed when either employee recognition or retirement expenses are spent, then we put that gaming fund
I
in
just
there.
think that's why it threw it off, but yeah, the board gets all that money. And then we-
So are you off the first page then, or?
Yeah, I'm off the first page.
I'm on page 2.
Hey Becky, that, vehicle insurance refunds, that goes back to the general fund, right? It doesn't go into.
Yep, that's the general fund, but the sheriff has such activity with theirs that they work with Garfield on that and but it's general funds,
Yeah, it doesn't go into slush fund.
no.
Did we not, in the most recent, bond, allow for some cars, didn't we?
Right, that's in this current year's budget.
Right.
That's why we had to put that money back in, because obviously you haven't made a decision about that for the 21 budget.
Okay,
So,
so if we do, then that might.
yeah, that would disappear off that line item.
Okay, that's what I.
How many cars?
I think it was 2, wasn't it?
A little more than that, I think.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
more than that.
I thought it was 7.
Yeah, I think we got like 300,000 in.
Split between rural and general.
Yeah.
And that's 7 cars?
Yeah.
Is that fully equipped?
No, that's just for the vehicle.
That's not split evenly between the rural and general.
That's what the state contract has, that we go through that, Carpenter's out of Des Moines, they got the Chevy contract, and I think McMullen has the Ford, and who has Dodge? Someplace out of Corville, no, that sounds too far away.
Divers or one of those others.
160 and 140. Tim.
You switching most of them over to the
now.
4,
Did you want?
The majority of the patrol cars we're getting now are Tahoes, because they've come back the cheapest and the guys seem to like them the best, so.
That takes care of all, that takes care of all of our.
I think the last couple of times we purchased has been Tahoes or Durangos,
Yeah.
one of the two.
okay.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few Durangos out there.
So all your COVID, coded items? in
All
here
119s, yep.
Yeah, all 19s. Are. $50,000 in, salaries. I'm on that one, page 4 is the COVID, I mean, there's.
Are we done with page 2? Or any questions on page 2? No questions on page 2?
Yeah.
Okay,
Who's that first line in the salaries elected officials, deputies?
under the 1,000.
Pardon me?
The first one there, under the expense, the first item under expense.
Yes.
That's the sergeants and the lieutenants.
How many of those
Of the
are?
road, of the road
How many
only.
of those are there?
4 sergeants, 1 lieutenant.
What's that?
4 sergeants, 1 lieutenant.
So that's 5 people. It went up $70,000. $14,000
But
apiece.
last year, when we
A new
budgeted,
sheriff.
we
We
were
had to
short a sergeant.
We added 12-hour shifts on the road, so we had to add a sergeant for supervision. We had 3 shifts, we went to 4. We've been doing it for 2 years now, it's just the first year we went by without one. We did a 1-year trial run, now this is the first year the union made it official, so.
Okay, so in 19, this year we had one, right?
Yes.
All right.
347.
So he's not on the second line.
I mean, that's basically one employee.
The second line?
Well, the second line is last, so you move that
The
one
second.
employee up to the top.
Oh, okay.
No, the second line is the deputies. And the one reason that part of it is lower is because last year we had a position open, and so we put that under the road as a deputy. But that position is going under court security this year. So it's so difficult because you can be on the road, you can bid off to court security, you can bid to civil, you can bid, and then it's just a shuffleboard.
The line items have all been separated by those divisions, which is interesting, but it makes it hard to track.
It's state function.
Yeah, and Becky will tell you, yeah, it's the state, it's not us. I would like to see a deputy salary line item and a deputy or lieutenant's line. I don't get to see that.
And then that differs too, if you have someone who bids into one of the other divisions who doesn't make as much as money as someone who is a senior officer. There's just so many variables in there.
So this line item is gonna be extremely overspent from what you budgeted
What?
this fiscal year. That's that first line.
The first line,
Yeah. You budgeted you budgeted 347. And you're gonna spend 440.
but we had to
Next one
put
they
step
cut.
and grades in there. We didn't put increases, but we also put step and grades in there too.
Okay.
Plus one more.
Let's one more sergeant.
Okay, let's talk overtime.
12-hour shifts, well, I'll let Andy talk to this, but 12-hour shifts has saved us overtime probably by 50%.
Yeah.
For sworn deputies.
And the deputies all like the 12-hour
Oh,
shift?
they love it, yep.
Allows them to switch around and have some family life?
Yep.
They get every other weekend off. I mean, in the cop world, that's huge.
That's, yes.
And our shifts are running out of peak hours because we generally our old, 3 PM to 11 PM shift would always catch late calls because it's, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night where they're starting to
Sure.
get heavy call volume. So the 6 PM to 6 AM shift is like, getting their busy times until 2 o'clock in the morning, and they have plenty of time for the reports afterwards and getting off shift right away at 6 in the morning. So that's been helping a lot.
So I might be able to cut that $50,000, right, Jeff?
Yeah, we can look at that.
Which one are we cutting?
The overtime for sworn.
That you.
10-10405. Yeah, we should talk to the real sheriff before you talk to me, because she would, probably has information I don't have.
What's the matter?
No, let's just go back to salaries. I mean, I'm looking at, that's an $89,500 savings. Even though they went up
Where?
in the one, they went down in the other. So
Right.
You're saving 90,000 from last year between the two line items.
Where are you at?
So your expenses.
First two.
Between 01 and 02, 001 and 002.
So it's actually a savings of almost 90,000 between the two items. One went up, one went down.
Okay, but if you look at what we've spent so far and what we could anticipate to be spending, nothing changed, cost us a little more money. On year to date. So I understand what you're saying.
They went from 1.793 to 1.609.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, and look what they spent.
Yeah, they spent
Times 2
805
would be
times
real
2.
close to the 1.6.
Yeah, that's right.
And remember, this is,
And that's what I said,
Six.
it's gonna be a wash on what we spent. We haven't saved anything.
I think it's gonna be about $90,000 savings.
I do too.
If you just do the simple subtraction between the two line items, yeah, it's 90 something.
You're still at a savings.
Plus, this is a weekend of this month.
And the year-to-date activities are tracking about,
Lower, what she was saying about the switch they made on the deputy side, it actually would have saved them. The one line item goes up and it seems like, oh, you're up $100,000, and then the next line, you went down about,
190.
yeah, so we're ended up being almost an 89,500 savings. That's a positive, I guess.
and I would just give you the same kind of caution that Bob did on overtime. Because of COVID, anecdotally, I believe there's a lot of guys out there that have not taken time off and stuff because they can't do anything. They can't go anywhere. And so that overtime budget would push up a little bit if all of a sudden we start getting lots of leave requests and vacations, things of that nature.
They're just waiting for the cabins to open up at Arrow.
Right.
You take their vacations.
As first as they go. Neil, Iowa.
Still on page 2.
How come our, motor fuel that, for the vehicles, we budget 200 and we're up, we're down, we're 71 this year. Oh, that's half year, I'm sorry.
But it just depends, if the fuel goes up, then
Okay,
It's looking good so far this year.
all right.
You're right, it might be a little high, but you know, Biden hasn't been in office yet, so it's catch a change there.
Let's say we for last year's budget for fuel.
Now we're gonna turn everything to solar next year.
The Green New Deal, right? We're good to go.
No high-speed chases at night.
Yeah.
We'll have wind turbines on our vehicle patrol cars.
30 on those things, you'll be fine. Quarter gallon.
page 3,
Um,
yes.
okay.
You think you can get your training in this year, Andy?
You were scheduled to get our training in.
Well, you're not spending any, do you think it's gonna, increase and get back to normal this year?
I would assume so. We'll
For
see.
this fiscal year?
As of right now, all of our spring training and stuff like that we've already scheduled are still on track for now, but it just depends on,
Those numbers are timing, Tim.
depends on how dark our
I
winter
think the
is.
number's timing.
You know, the last couple of years, you've really overspent your budget in that way.
Gotta keep people educated and trained, Tim.
How come you
Well,
did that?
that's because when you send them to ILEA, if you go back to 18-19, we sent 6 people to ILEA, that was $40,000.
We don't have many vacancies anymore, do we?
19-20,
What's that?
We don't have as many vacancies now,
We got
Yeah,
3
we do.
currently.
We got, we're 3 short for deputies right now.
so we'd only be paying for 3 when we go through that.
Well,
Hopefully we can pick up a couple certified.
that's what we're trying to do, certified. If we can do that, we can avoid that ILEA fee, because they've already been through the academy. We're also looking at, with Jana, with our pay.
Jana.
Jana, I'm sorry, there's so many Janas.
Don't worry about it.
We're trying to build a lateral. I built a lateral when I was in Omaha, where a certified guy could come in at a higher pay scale because of their experience in another jurisdiction. We saved that 7,000 or 8,000 at ILEA, plus we're bringing in people that have done the work and have a track record. So we're gonna be working on that this year, and hopefully, we're gonna go to the association with those numbers.
Okay.
So,
Retirements.
so are you able to get those guys, I mean, you Robin somewhere, are you able to get some guys from the military?
But they can't track in because they don't have the certification.
Okay.
Even if they're military police, they don't get the
They still have to
certification.
go to ILA.
We have to still send them to
They
Iowa.
still gotta go.
Yep.
Is there any states that do transfer over?
Post, like Minnesota and Missouri, will give you credit. But my youngest kid right now is Air Force cop,
Yeah.
and he can post into those states and they give him credit for that. But in Iowa, they have not gone post yet, that police officer standard training.
So, I asked this question of everybody, I think, so far, so how many admin?
What do you say?
How
How
many
many
admin?
Admin?
So, I mean, you consider
Administration,
Linda and, are we talking certified administration or like our office administration?
office administration.
So we have Linda and Raquel, of course. I don't know if you wanna consider our civil clerks admin or not.
They're sworn officers, aren't they?
No.
No.
Oh, they're not, okay.
No, we have 4 ladies up front that are civilian.
Okay,
We have a civilian crime scene tech. And that's about it on the sheriff's side for,
so is that 7?
yeah,
Okay. And then the rest are sworn officers,
yes.
and that number is
I think as of right now, we're at 52
52?
sworn.
Okay.
60?
52. Oh, no, I'm talking about 60 with the admin.
Okay, no, I got 52.
Okay, thank you.
Hey Linda, I'm on page 3. If you go clear down towards the bottom where it says salaries of regular employee and the deputies, that went from 288 to 230, how come?
Which one are you on?
Right above the crime scene tech.
10002.
10002.
Why did it decrease?
Yeah.
Because last year when I did the budget, that we have, there's 4 deputies that come out of the rural line item. But when I did this last year, one of those deputies was not in there. When we replaced, a deputy quit that was in rural. The deputy that we chose is now in investigations, because 1010 is investigations. So he comes out of rural instead of here. So,
So you
did I explain that
moved
so
the
that you
deputy and then
understand?
hired somebody for investigations, is that what you said?
This is investigations. 1010 is investigations.
Oh.
So they're short there because last year, the officer that was in investigations was just a regular deputy. His salary would have come out of here.
Out of the general fund?
We'll see the shift when you get to Fund 11.
Huh?
Yeah.
So we have 4 deputies in rural. If one of those deputies leaves, which is what happened last year, then we have to replace him with another deputy. And I tried to get a deputy that his salary is as close to the one that left. Well, when we do that, you're doing this shuffling around. So the deputy that was assigned to rural was a road deputy, but then he moved into investigations or out of investigations. So you take that, he moved into investigations, so that's why it's a minus, because his salary now comes out of the rural.
So is investigations higher than a road deputy in salary?
No,
Depends on the deputy that's in there.
Right.
Time, step, and grade.
yeah,
Does this budget include step and grade?
yes.
Okay.
And longevity,
Any-
longevity and step
There's
and
no
grade.
retirements that are coming that are gonna be,
What's that?
is there any, are you gonna ask about anticipated retirements next?
No, I'm not going there.
I don't think we have anybody
I don't
scheduled
think
for
we have.
retirement this year.
You good?
I think so. I think Points and Baker were the last 2 that we had
I'm
retired.
next.
No, she's not.
Well, maybe.
We just talked about another
No,
16.
I'm not retiring, but I am the oldest person in the department, I think, so.
We just compared notes outside, and she edged me out.
Other than that, hardly anything changed on page 3. I mean,
Grandkid.
Yeah,
Went
that's
up a
just
little bit,
because
but-
she was, yeah, up in one and down the other. Because they combined that position. And the fourth one down, in case you're gonna ask, is we have 2 deputies in vice now instead of 1. So that's why that's a
Two
72.
deputies, what?
In vice, that's
Okay.
what 1011 is vice.
So there was
that's
a
why-
savings in another salary line item that's now changed over to this.
Do we need 2 people in vice?
That's what we're contracted through the city council bluffs and all the swine
The
task
swine
force. so-
task force has always said that Pot County would contribute 2 deputies. We hadn't for a long, long time. Jeff found a way to do it a couple of months ago and sent the kid down there.
Do we need to look at that contract again? Does Pot County need 2 people in there?
We have a meeting to set up with them here in the next couple of weeks. I'll have to see what my schedule says and we can talk about it then.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the numbers, I don't even know how many council bluffs I have down there. I know they got a lieutenant, a sergeant, and
We met with Chief Carmody yesterday, and one of the things we're exploring is trying to put one of those deputies on a burn grant, which is a DOJ grant that would pay that salary. And so we're exploring that with him right now, because they are the fiscal agent for that grant, so it would have to come out of Council Bluffs Police. But we're having that discussion. If we could come and take a little bit of money out of that salary from that federal grant, that obviously would help that line item.
The COVID-19, the salaries, is any of that eligible for repayment?
Yeah,
That
those are all being tracked.
Should be because it was coded 19,
Okay.
so it should be.
Linda, your data processing supplies, would you help me out with that whole line item there? Your, what you budgeted this year was 10,000. You re-estimated to 70.
Because Jeff told me that David from GIS or whatever. his
IT,
title
it's
is.
that,
IT,
is it our website or something like that?
that, yes, that we needed to, the website needed to be revamped and we needed to put $40,000 in a line item for this. So we re-estimated, and that's all I know. He just talked to Jeff about it and Jeff told me to put it in the budget.
I don't know anything
Seems
about
awful
that.
expensive for,
Do you know that, Jeff? Do you know anything about that, Justin?
but I mean, that seems awful expensive for a website revamp.
Yeah.
And we can't
Unless
talk
you're
to it
getting
either.
entirely new software, but even then it's still high. I don't know.
I wanna say, Linda, after we talked, I did talk to David, and
did?
it was a suggested software expense.
Okay.
Oh, what does that have to do with the printing?
With what?
The printing?
No.
All right, can we check into that?
Yep, I got it down.
Where's that at? I lost it.
It's on page 4.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on 4, I'm just here.
Yeah, it's 26200.
You go down the right-hand sign, right-hand line, all the way down till you see a 30,000, you'll find it.
Got it. Thanks. Yeah, even 20 seems too high.
No, we owe you an answer on that one.
So overall, your budget went up about 117,000.
Yeah.
So what you're looking at, Linda?
117,000, not very much.
That includes that $160,000 on the vehicle that was put back in. So,
No, it doesn't.
yeah,
Where is that?
on page 3, you see the loan 160 sitting there? It was not in this year's because we bonded, now there's 160 added back in for 21-22.
And the rest of that 140 is in a row.
I always asterisk that one. and then just, you know, we'll review what's best. 'Cause
Up
we may-
until this fiscal, we never took it out. We would just keep them from spending it so that that budget didn't fluctuate. And then we decided this year the board wanted it to be removed. Well, you'll see it fluctuate if we remove it, take it out, put it back in, which is fine. Either way works.
Well, I just don't want us to forget.
Well, we will, we have just a little more money than we had last year, but not very much. And last year would have raised the levy if we were to put that in the budget.
So
Power
we just
vehicles.
adjust the view when we say we're gonna take it out. We manually take that out is what we do.
We've got a rotation.
We have a retirement plan. They've come up with a mileage number that kind of seems to hit the magic number where we're paying too much for maintenance and
We
stuff.
got two vehicles.
Maybe big
Yeah.
cash on hand, we
You
may
can still get a
buy.
little money out of them.
Yep. And actually, Steve and some other folks at the sheriff's office started selling them on the auto auction.
Then we're getting more money back.
Gotten a lot more money back for our used.
So instead of just taking them to the dealership on their trade-in, we're actually going through the auction process and getting, I think most of them are getting like 2,000 more per
Property
vehicle.
tax.
What is your mileage, your magic number?
We got a handful now with 150,000 on them,
You don't
so.
pay a penny in property tax.
We talked about the number.
We start thinking about that when they hit 100,000.
Because there's still, I mean, you go out there, there's a lot of used cars out there, right, and
I said
they're
the same thing.
valuable, especially trucks or SUVs.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the reason the Tahoes are the best on trade-in as well, so,
And you wouldn't want an hour meter in these cars.
no.
Because they
No,
sit a
I
lot.
understand that.
Oh, yeah.
Heck, I think they got it on there
They can't
anymore,
afford
don't
it.
they?
No, I know.
I think you can probably get it
Yeah,
on.
probably.
You know, my trucks have a deal where you go
And the
through
dip
and it
and
tells you
the,
the hours
There's
it's
there's
run
balances
or
there too,
idle.
though. I don't know.
Yeah, I think with.
Yeah, I made a complaint the other day
A couple
about cars
pennies on
idling out in the
general
parking
for
lot.
secondary roads.
And then I found out what it took to turn all the electronics off and bring all the computers and everything back
Oh.
on. I get why they idle now. So I was a dinosaur. I just didn't understand it.
Yeah, and we're just talking pennies and fuel on, if you leave a car, if you're in the office doing a report, like your car runs for an hour, it's
just something to think of. Pennies, like not even that, so.
compared to having to turn it off, power all your equipment down, if you get a hot call, you're in trouble, so.
So are these numbers, right, these forfeiture numbers?
What page you on?
I'm on 6 and 7. Is there another fund somewhere else?
For the sheriff, that is it.
So there's 39 in the,
To date, 39,557.
But there's more money in there.
there's 39 and
For-
there's 18.
That's the
And
deposits
the
to date.
DOJ Fed forfeiture, drug forfeiture, miscellaneous. So those two numbers are 57.
That's what they've collected so far this year.
Yes.
What do we do with that?
Right, so what's,
Well, the big number was to go to the building remodel.
well, what is the big number?
That, are you, this number, that $1,611,333 and
Okay.
Now that
that's what I got
forfeiture,
the end of December.
Right.
Jeff, I probably has talked to you about that forfeiture money is gonna start declining greatly.
Well,
There's
yeah.
a whole move around the country to not do forfeiture anymore. It's considered takings under the 14th Amendment, whatever. So
Yeah,
it's,
I mean, if we can get it spent, it'd be a lot better.
yeah, we just need to spend it out.
So the 39 that you've gotten thus far this year looks like reimbursement from other governments? Is that?
That 39,000, I believe,
Is that the DEA number from Miller?
no, this
Okay.
39,000 was that check that we just got from Vice,
Okay.
from
Who?
From Spice?
Swine, excuse me.
From the
Vice,
drug task force?
Swine.
Okay, so
Yes.
they captured cash. Because that's the only way we can get money, because we don't resell the drugs.
I mean, Matt gets it, we get it, CV, police.
But we don't know what year or what, anything on that. So that's,
Stand down the street.
that's,
Going on this highway.
because we really don't, you go back and just look, we don't, it's going, that's high compared to what we had the previous 1920 and 1819.
For that, yeah, because we just got that
Yeah.
just recently. That was just one check.
So is the 57 that's here in that .16 that you gave me?
This is the end of December printout,
So it's
On
and
that one page that we did earlier, Fund 18 would be where you would find that. The one that Andrew printed, that's as of
oh,
today.
okay, over here.
Yeah.
the 39,000 is in there. That 18,000, I think, was in there before.
It's
And that's
16,
Department of Justice
1,
monies.
6, 11, through, okay. Well, do you have another fund besides the special law?
18 is the law enforcement fund,
Right.
the
Or
forfeiture
Fund 18.
monies.
That's the only one you got, right?
Right.
Slush money, yeah.
So that is, only able to be, it's restricted in some fashion, right?
I think it's capital, isn't it? We can only spend it on capital expense?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but I know it is restricted.
It is restricted.
Okay.
I know when I worked for Matt, that's what they
Okay.
talked about it.
So Linda, real quick, can you tell me why your general supplemental is going down?
I mean, it's just small changes all over. the
Which
place.
one?
You're going from a 2.93 to about a 2.88.
Well,
Page is that on?
part of that is,
Well, it may be on page,
That's like $45,000
page 9.
decrease.
it's how much?
About a $45,000 decrease?
That's because if you look on page 6 and you look at the last two there was a, say
Last two where?
on page 6, the top lines there, just before it says Fund 2 General Sup, there's like that insurance
I hate these masks.
is minus $24,980, and the
Yeah.
next one is 26. That 24,000 is when someone opts to take the insurance benefit when they retire. And we only have one person on that now. We just dropped 2 off. And he'll be on there until 2023. And then the other one was on Burbridge. That stopped, so that money's not being spent in there anymore.
I knew it was something real easy. Thank you very much for that.
Mhm.
Okay.
So the rural services basic fund, you're gonna increase that 140,000?
That's the cars.
Oh, that's the cost, that's right. Yeah, geez, we're gonna do something about that.
Bicycles?
What? No, the rural fund.
Oh, thought you were talking about getting bicycles to get rid of cars.
We have some bicycles.
Oh, yeah.
But not out in the rural too much.
That's for.
You'd be surprised how many guys on bike patrol that work, delay shift during the summer, stuff like that, they carry their bike on the back of their car and
Oh, yeah.
they'll get to a town and take that around.
Drive around, yeah.
So you were right, Jeff, if you take that 1.6 million
Plus the cars.
and spend it, that's the difference in the budget.
Yep, otherwise it's a .22 increase.
And that includes step and grade,
And longevity.
and longevity.
What'd you figure in for increased insurance, health insurance?
We
Nothing
did it.
decreased yet, because we don't have a number.
Okay, we're still waiting. on
Wait
that.
for wages and insurance. And wait for COVID money, because that could affect a little bit too.
Gosh, this might be your best budget ever, Linda.
Gosh, yeah.
We've had our hands
New
on it for 12
sheriff
days.
and- Huh? What'd you say? What did you say?
There's one queen of that 1,600 Big Lake, and you guys know who it is. And we're gonna make sure.
It's 1,400 Big
She,
Lake.
she,
and it's
1,400, I'm sorry. Thanks to the new guy. But she knows who she is.
You're thinking of 1,600 Pennsylvania Avenue, I think.
And if it takes free pizza, whatever, she's gonna extend a little bit longer.
Well, I certainly like working with you, Linda, I really do. You're really knowledgeable, you help out quite a bit, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That wasn't as bad as you thought it was.
Can we take a 5-minute break, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, and
Before we go to
then,
closed session?
We're done.
yeah, I think we'll,
Are you closing
we
the
can
other
now,
items on?
for
Another day.
another day,
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, we'll never get through this.
Do this close, because I'm supposed to swear somebody in.